All right, so today is January 25th. We're going to start our first lesson, which is going to be on VLANs and how to set up a basic topology for VLANs. Okay, so we're going to learn how to do a basic network setup on screen. Yeah, basic network setup. This is going to be a very basic network setup, but we're going to be putting in a router. We're going to be configuring a router. We'll also be configuring switches, and we're going to be doing some computer setup as well, which we're going to use VLANs. VLANs are virtual LAN local area network. These are used for a couple of purposes that oversees. Give me one second. Um, this okay. Give me one second. Okay. No, okay. So virtual LANs are created in a network to virtually separate departments, right? So remember when we looked at subnettings, we saw that the more the broadcast there is, the slower the network gets, right? So we can split that into a small network chunks to make it more efficient in the network itself. VLANs are used for separating it virtually. So it doesn't matter which switch you're connected to, as long as they have the VLAN ID, we can route all the traffic through the VLAN. So the department itself does not interfere with other departments, right? So usually VLANs are separated per department, and these are called virtual local area networks. And these are used in pretty much all of corporate environment, and you do have to understand how to configure this. Okay, so we'll take a look at how to configure this and how to configure and properly do a basic setup on this. You will have an assignment that has been updated on your LMS. So let me just go into your LMS here. Give me one second. Yeah. So this has been updated on your LMS here. When you go here, it's on the current week here. This is a VLAN assignment. Okay. So you guys can go and download it from here. And this will have a basic VLAN setup. I'll show you what this assignment will look like. The one I'm going to show you here, give me one second. So this is going to be slightly more than what we have done in the class, just slightly, okay? So it's going to still have one router, two switches, but you're going to set up four VLANs. We'll look at how to set up two VLANs in the class, okay? And you learn how to configure them and everything, so you should be able to do these. And when you hand in, I'll show you how to hand the packet tracer file, so I can open it up and I can inspect it. And the screenshot, you can just put them on a Word or PDF document along with the question number, okay? So if this is part B, question 1, you just put in part B, whatever the title is, and you just put the screenshots in. So we can take a look, but the packet tracer file is very important, so I can go ahead and open it up and see if there's anything wrong with it, or if it's been set up properly. All right, it's okay. You can download, but let me go ahead and open up my thing over here. Second. Oh, sorry, I closed the thing properly. Sorry. This one more time. Entire screen. Okay. So I'm going to start from the very, very basic here. So just so you understand how this configuration is going to go. Okay. So we're going to have, I'm just going to delete all this. One thing that I want you guys to do to make your guys' life easier is going to options, preference, and make sure you have checked the show device model label, show device name label, always show port label in logical workspace, um, align logical workplaces, um, align physical workspace object, enable, that should be enough because this will help you guys. I'm just trying to see if there's anything else that I'm just going to make this font a little bit bigger so you guys can see much better. This is just for a thing, and then malicious Awareness tree, custom interface, that's okay. Publisher, this is okay. Okay, that's good. So those are the things that, if it just be helpful for you guys to make sure you turn it on, okay? So let's go ahead and start putting in our network. This is going to be a very basic, like a small office setup kind of thing, okay? So we're going to go into the network area here. And I'm going to first take a router. I'm going to take the router, which is 2911 over here. It's just the easier router for us to work with. I'm going to put it here, okay? And the next, I'm going to take two switches. And for the switches, I'm going to go here, the switches. I'm going to take the 2960 switch. That's the first one over here. I'm going to just properly align them so they look very neat, okay? And if you need to move them, you go on top here. And you see it just aligns now. So this will properly align for you, okay? You put this over here. And now we're going to take 4 PCs. We're going to go into end devices over here. And PCs, just going to put 2. I'm just going to align them. Okay. That's good. So that's the basic office network setup. And then let's make a connection. So we're going to go into connections. We're going to go to copper straight through cable. And I always like to start off with the router. And the router, I always like to leave the G00. This would be for our modem, right? So I'm going to start from our G01 and go to switch. Now, a lot of people have different preference. A lot of people like to connect the routers to Fast Internet 24, but I like connecting the first port. When we do it in a corporate environment, I'm just used to doing it in Fast Internet 01 or Gigabyte 01, doesn't matter. But I'm going to start doing with Fast Internet 01, okay? And I'm going to connect the other router as well. And this is going to be connected to G02. And then I'm going to go here, Fast Internet 01, okay? So the router is connected through the router is connected on the switch always on F/1. That's for me. Some company does it differently where they would do it on the last port, but I always, whenever I set up network in in the corporate offices when I do consultancies, I always do one. So I know that the first port is always for router. Okay, you can change it up as you like. Some companies differently, right? So I'm gonna go here. It doesn't change the factor. It doesn't matter which port you connect, as long as you know which port is connected to. It's fine. It doesn't really change any factor. Okay. And then I'm going to connect the switch Fast Internet 02 to the PC. PC only has 1. And I'm going to do the other one, FA03 to this PC. And I'm going to go again here, FA02, FA03 here. And guys, and the thing is, we make sure we create VLANs is to make sure there's security involved in VLAN. We can actually lock down who sees what information, and as long as there's something called VLAN tagging, so we can actually tag certain device with a MAC address. You guys will learn slightly in advancement of the course. Once you start doing that, it doesn't matter where the PC is plugged into; they'll still be considered as that VLAN itself. Okay, so it's called VLAN tagging, and usually VoIP phones are VLAN tagged, so that way that it easily can be identified. It doesn't matter where they plugged in; they'll still get the same number, and they'll be part of the same department. It doesn't matter which floor they're connected to, right? So as long as they're properly tagged. All right. So now I'm going to make sure this goes over here. Okay. So just want to make sure. So this is now G01 is connected to this switch over here. Now let's give it a name for the department. Okay, I just want to make them be 2 simple department. When you assign it, there's 4 departments, and each one of the routers will get 2 department itself. Okay, in the assignment. Let's go here on top here. This will be your label maker. Sorry, over here. I'll go here, and I'll do this as VLAN 10, and this will be named as HR. Okay. I'll do here VLAN 20. This will be considered as let's say sales. Okay. And then, oh, sorry. We'll go here. Okay. So now let's start with our switches. It's the most easiest configuration that we can do to make sure that we complete these. Okay. So when we go to our switches, the switches are getting started up. Okay. Always when we start off the switches, we'll go and enable conf ft. And then for us to configure VLAN, we can call the VLAN. Okay. So we just do VLAN 10. See how it says configuration VLAN over here? This means VLAN 10, we're in VLAN 10. It's a virtual port, right? We're going to give this a name on the switch, okay? So for this switch we're seeing here, this is going to be VLAN 10 HR, right? So we're going to give it a name, and we can do that by giving the title of name. We're going to do HR. Okay, and we're going to go to exit. Now we have created a VLAN over here, okay? VLAN 10. I'm just going to close this. I'm going to go to the other switch and let's create the VLAN over here. Enable conf ft, and I'm going to do VLAN 20 because this is what we have here, right? And I'm going to give this a name, and I'm going to give this as sales. Okay, so now we have created VLANs on these two switches. Now we have created VLANs, but remember that like there has to be a port associated with it, right? Because these computers are connected to a port. And remember, these are connected to, let's say, physically, they're connected to FA02 and FA03, right? Now, think of it this way. You can actually tag a port on the switch for each VLAN. So let's say the first row of switches, like from 2 to 6, they're associated with VLAN 10. And you have port 10 to 10 to 14 that's associated with VLAN 20. And you can do that as many as you want, or you can do device tagging as well, right? But in this case, when we start off, we'll just do um, tagging those, are linking those ports to the VLAN itself. Okay. So I'm on switch number, this switch. Okay, I just want to make sure. Okay. And we're going to go into CLI. And then we're going to start setting up the ports for the VLAN itself, right? So I know these two computers are HR computers and they're connected to 2 and 3. So which means I can turn any of the ports, so from 1 to let's say 10, I'm going to make this as associated with VLAN 10 itself. Okay. So I'm going to do a range of VLAN. You can either associate port by port too. So you can do, if you want to do port by port, you do interface. Interface, FA fast internet 01. And you can say switch port mode access, switch port access, VLAN. Okay. That's what we have created, right? So I have done one port itself. Okay. Now, if I want to do a range of ports, in many cases, you will have range of ports. Okay. When you do these type of things, you'll just do interface range FA, let's say 01 to let's say I want to do up to 10, port number 10. Okay, so anything in the port FA01 to FA10 will be here. We'll go into the range. So it chooses fast internet 01 to fast internet 010. Okay, fast internet 10, sorry. And then we can do the same thing here, switch port mode access, switch port access, VLAN. Now when we do end over here, this goes to enable, right? If you do show VLAN brief, you see here we have created, so here so you guys can see this. So you see here there's a default, right? So defaultly it creates a VLAN number 1, and from port FA10 to 24 and gigabyte 02 is all associated with default VLAN on the switch. Now this is a VLAN we have created called HR, and we have port 1 to 10 associated with it. Okay, this is what we have associated with VLAN 10. And we can create more VLANs too. So it's not a big deal. You can just associate ports, 1 port, 2 port, doesn't matter. Okay. This is how you basically configure VLAN on a switch. Now let's do the same thing on our switch itself. Okay. Let's do the same thing. Range over here. Interface range FA0/1 to, let's say, same thing, 10 over here. Switch port mode access. Switch port access VLAN 20. We do end. Show VLAN, and you see here that the sales has been created. Okay. Now there's one more command that you always want to make sure you write down. The reason why this is let's say in case of some sort of power outage, right? Let's say we have let's do I'm just trying because there used to be a switch that you could toggle in here, but it doesn't seem like it. Size one. So let's say if we do, let's wait for that. That's just I've accidentally did that DNS thing. So let's go into here. If we do reboot, oh, it didn't work. It's shut down. I believe it's. That's okay. The reason why I wanted to show you is if there was a power outage, these configuration will erase. So we do have to write them into the memory. Okay. So every time you make a major change and you feel like it's, I mean, you know it's going to work. Okay. So let me just wait until that gets set up and done. Okay, let's go to the router. Let's do no. Okay, it's done. Okay, there you go. Okay, so whenever you want to save something to the switch, if the switch ever reboots or does have a power outage, these configuration will erase. Okay, so you do have to do where it says write memory from the end screen. Okay, it says okay, and if you do show conf show interface show VLAN brief, and this is the same thing here. Show startup config. Startup config, yeah. So this will show you actually all the commands that you have typed in into the router. Okay, itself. So if you see when you do show startup config, it starts from here, and it says switch port mode trunk PSV, and it says that the switch port access is associated VLAN 20. You can actually copy this switch port over here. This is actually a router's configuration. You can actually copy this and save this into a text file, and you can actually copy and paste into another router to have the same configuration as itself. We'll take a look at it in later on class when we do configuration, and this is the easiest way to back up a switch or router itself. Okay, so now we have configured VLAN 20 and VLAN 10 on each router. Now let's come up with the IP address for these network. Okay, so I'm going to make sure that this HR is going to be 192.168. Let's say 10.1, and it's going to be /24 network. Okay, and this one over here is going to be 192.168.20.1/24 network as well. Okay, just as a basic network. Now let's get the router configured. Let me go back here. Click on the router itself. Okay. Now, remember, switches are just a dumb end device, right? They don't have IP address associated with them. They don't have anything, right? But a router is the one that's going to configure the IP address appropriate to each of the network itself. Okay, so we want to make sure the gigabyte 01 is the HR network with 10.1, and we want to also make sure gigabyte 2 is associated with the sales, which is 20. Okay, so they're part of the VLAN's ID itself. Okay, the network system. Okay, let's start creating them. Let's do enable, same thing, conf fp, same thing. And we want to type in the first thing is we want to make sure we start off with each one of the interfaces, right? So I'm going to configure gigabyte 01. So we're going to do interface G0/1. Okay. The first thing I'm going to do is give it a description, just to think. Description, I'm going to give this as HR. And then we're going to start giving an IP address. Okay. So we give it the same IP address as what's listed there in the network. It's 10.1. So sorry, I need to do IP address 192.168.10.1. And then we're going to have to give the subnet mask. Okay. So for /24, what is the subnet mask? What do you think the subnet mask is, Imran?
255.255.255.0.
Perfect. Very good. Yeah, it's a very common network that you guys would be looking at, right? So it's this. Very good. Very good. And then we'll do no shut, because remember when we configure it, if the port is on a shutdown mode, it'll turn shutdown, right? So we want to turn it on. No shutdown. This will start change the status to up. Okay. And you'll see here it's turning green over here. You see over here. Okay. And then now what we want to do is exit. And then again, now this port is configured, and see the switch is turning back to orange. The link is starting up here. Now we want to do the same thing for the gigabyte 02 as well. Okay. So we're going to do interface gigabyte 0/2. We're going to do description first. We're going to do sales. And then we're going to do IP address 192.168.20.1, and then same subnet mask, right? 24. We're going to enter here. And then we're going to do no shut, because this port is, remember, it's turned on. Okay. It's not turned on yet. No shut. Okay. Now we have configured the both network, and you see this is turning green. This is orange now. And then what we're going to do is we're going to do end over here, and then we're going to do right. And we're going to do show interface brief. Show IP interface brief. Okay. So if you see here, when we do show IP interface brief, sorry. So when you do show IP interface brief, we see that gigabyte 00 has unassigned because it's administratively down. We have nothing connected to 00, right? If we do have in a workplace, or when you go to corporate environment, you'll have 00 to be connected to your ISP's modem, right? Which could be Rogers, Bell, Starlink, whatever it is. I always like to have it 00 to be a thing, and it's personal preference to work with, right? Now 00 is on the 10.0.1, which is correct. 0/1 is 10.1. It's connected to our HR network over here, and we have manually up and up. Okay, so it means the status is up and the protocol is up as well. And we also have gigabyte 02 on a 20.1 network, and it's up as well. Okay, so we can see here all the network lights are green for us, so they have connectivity. So okay, so now the reason why we're going to have to do what we're going to do right now is because we don't have something set up called DHCP. Okay, so DHCP allows us to automatically assign IP address to the PC itself. Okay, we're not going to worry about setting up DHCP for this class here. We're going to be setting up the PCs manually. Okay, so I'll show you here right now. go into the terminal here, ipconfig, and we're going to start putting the IP address as 192.168.10. I'm going to do the first PC as 10.10, and the default gateway, you're going to have to give the same default gateway as what we put on the router for the port itself. Okay, and that's good. Close this one, and then we're going to go here. Here, 192.168.10.11. 192.168.10. It's still going to be the same default gateway as the router. Okay, so close this. Now go here again, and we'll config here. Desktop IP config, and we're going to do 20.10. Okay, 192.168.20.10. 192.168.20.1. Okay, it's going to be default gateway to the router itself. Again, we're going to go here, desktop IP address 192.168.20.11. 192.168.20.1. Do this as I can. And we're going to do this. And then what we're going to do is we're going to try. Okay, so let me label these computer. This is going to be 192.168.20.20. Sorry, 20.11. And this one over here is going to be 192.168.20.10. 192.168.10.11. 168.10.10. Okay, these are the network addresses. And in here, we're going to make sure we have these labeled as well. 192. Oh, we have it over there. That's okay. Just move this up. Okay, that's good. Okay, now that we have that, we should be able to ping from this computer to this computer. Okay, so we'll go into command prompt. We'll do ping 192.168.10.10. And the first one will always fail. It's because it's trying to determine what route should I be taking. So to create a directory, right, of which way I should go to reach the computer, the fastest method and everything, right? This will help the computers to map out the network by itself. And this will help it to properly send the network package to itself. Okay. And this is how you would design a basic network itself. Does that make any sense?
Yes.
Perfect. Any question here, Imran?
No, not so far.
Perfect. Yeah, it's a very basic setup of a network itself. Okay. Now, if we do want to complex it a little bit, right? Let me go, and I want to show this before I go ahead and go to the other lesson over here. If we go into File and we do Save As, and you can save this to, I'm just going to save it here. I'm going to save it as VLAN in my desktop. So if I go into my desktop, if I open it up, this is a file that I want you guys to email to myself. Okay, when you guys do the assignments, this is a file. Okay, that's how I can open it up. So if I close this one, that's okay, and I'll just open this file up. One second, it's opening it for me. So it will get saved, okay? And this is the file that we will be working off of for this class over here. So what I'm going to do is find this file. I'm going to create a new one over here, okay? Okay. So in this one, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a same thing again, but I'm going to do it with a slightly more VLANs for you guys to see, okay? So let's do here the same thing, 2901 router here. And then what we'll do is we'll do the 2960 switch over here. One, we'll do two over here. We'll do one more router over here, okay? 2901. Okay. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna do 1, 2, 3. Okay. So let's make the connections here. I'm gonna go into this one over here, and I'm gonna connect these routers to two of the routers first. I'm gonna go here, go into okay, I have made a small mistake. Give me one second. It's not this router, it's 2911 because it only has 2 ports. These one has 3 ports. That's why. Okay, there you go. Okay. Now let's make the connection. So we're gonna do copper straight through. Go to G00 to G00. And then let's make the connection here from G01. Past G01. 01. Okay. Now let's connect the computers. 1. We're gonna move them slightly more so we can start seeing the port numbers. There's the same thing over here. Okay. So we have these ones, and I'm just gonna save this as file. Save as stop. Okay. So this is what we're gonna do for this one. Okay. So we're gonna have sales, HR, IT, and we're gonna also have sales, HR, IT, and then we're gonna have one more department is gonna be health. We're gonna have sales, HR, IT, and we're gonna have what is another department? We're gonna have um, hmm, executives. Okay. We're gonna have- And for sales, we'll do 192.168.10.1. For HR, we'll do 192.168.10.20. 1/24. This is going to be a /24 as well. I will do 192.168.20 dot, sorry, 31/24. Okay, and this is going to be our basic configuration for this. And we're going to say each one of these computers belongs to a department itself. Okay. So we'll say these two are sales. Sales PC2. We'll do this is executive PC1. PC2. And 192.168.40 dot 20. Ten. Sales is going to be 192.168.10.10. These are IP address that I want to make these. 20 to 168.10.10. And this one, let's make it as ITPC2 equals 192.168.30.20. ITPC1 equals 192.168.30.10. This is going to be, we have sales, we have executive. This is going to be HRPC2 equals 92.168.20.20. PC1 equals 192.168.20.20. And let me save this. And this is going to be our building one. Let's say we say building one. Let's say this is in Ontario. And this is, let's say this is in BC. Okay. Okay, now that's perfect. Let's see. Okay, now let's go ahead and start configuring them based on the VLAN itself. Okay. Now the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to configure the VLANs on these and assign the ports to them. Okay. So I'm going to assign port 2 and 3 to for VLAN. This is for the HR VLAN, and this is going to be for the IT VLAN, and I'm going to do the same thing for these. Okay. So just show you here. We're going to do Ethernet conf T, and then we're going to do VLAN. We'll do VLAN 10 for, we'll do VLAN So HR and IT here, we have thing, right? So, okay, let's do this 10, VLAN 20, 30, VLAN 20. Okay, so we're gonna have here. This has the first one is has a HR, which is VLAN 20. Okay, VLAN 20. So now we have created a VLAN 20. Now we're gonna associate fast Ethernet 0 and fast Ethernet Z 3 to it, right? So we can just do interface. Sorry. Now first we'll give it a name. Name. Sorry. Name. This is going to be HR. And then I'm going to do exit. I'm going to create the other VLAN as well. VLAN, which is IT is VLAN 30. 30. Name. IT. Okay. Now we're going to do exit. Now let's associate the ports number to those VLANs. Interface, range, FA 0, 2, 2, 0/3. Sorry, just 3. And 0/3, just 3. Okay. And we're going to do switch port mode access. Switch port access. We're going to do VLAN for HR, that is 20. We're going to do a thing. We don't have to turn these ports on. Remember, VLAN is a virtual port. Okay, it's okay to do no shut, but you do not necessarily need to. It's virtual network itself. Okay, you don't need to. Now we can do end, right. Remember, see this. So we have created two VLANs for these. We have associated the first VLAN to these 3 ports. And if you saw, this one turned yellow and turned green now. Now let's do the same thing for the other VLAN, okay? So I'm going to do enable, conf, and you can do this while you configure everything, and then you can do the thing, right? So, and then I'm going to do interface range, FA 0/3 to 4. Switch port mode access, switch port access, VLAN, IT is going to be VLAN 30. No shut. I always like giving no shutdown. And then you can do end, and then you can do right. And if you do show VLAN brief, you can see here that these are the ports associated. See, but we have an issue here. Do you see that HR only has 02? We did not associate to 03, okay? So it's always better for you, once you've done all your configuration, go into the show into a VLAN brief and see the appropriate number has been associated. Because I'm sure when I did the space 3, it did not capture the 3 as a range, okay? So it only did 2. So let's do that one more time. Enable conf f conf ft. We'll do interface range FA 0/2 to 3, okay? Now we'll do switch port mode access, and I'm always using tab, okay? Switch port mode access, sorry, so I can see the screen. Okay, switch port mode access, and then switch port access, and we're going to do, this is for VLAN HR, right? So VLAN 20. VLAN 20. And we do show VLAN brief here. These are associated. Okay. Oh, okay, okay. I did a small mistake when I was doing the configuration. So number 2 and 3 is for VLAN thing, and then 4 and 5 is for thing. So that's the reason why. So it's my configuration mistake. So let's do enable conf ft. Okay, let's go to the other one. Well, this is resolving itself. Enable conf ft, and let's do this. We'll do VLAN. In this one, we're gonna have the sales, which is going to be VLAN 10, and we're going to do name sales. We're going to do exit, and we're going to do VLAN. It's also executive VLAN 40 name executives, and then we're going to do exit, and we're going to associate the interface with it. Okay, so executives have a port number 4 and 5 for executives. So let's do that first. Interface range FA0/4 to number 5. Okay, we're going to do switch port mode access, switch port access, VLAN. This is going to be for executives for VLAN 40. Okay, and then see here, it's turning orange and it's turning back on. Okay, you can just do no shut as well. You don't require it, but I always do just as a habit. It's better to do it than not doing it, right? It would not harm anything. And then what we're going to do is we're going to come exit here one more time, and we're going to do interface range FA 0/ this one is 2 and 3. So 2, 2, 3. We're going to do switch port mode access, and then we're going to do switch port access VLAN. Sales is VLAN 10. Now, if we do end and do show VLAN interface show VLANs, you see here, sales has FA02 and FA03 associated, and executives have FA04, FA05 executed. Okay. Now let's go back to this switch over here and let's make sure this is configured too. Okay. Now, if we do show VLAN brief, we see that number 4 and 5 has to be associated. Okay. So we'll do enable conf ft, and then we'll do interface range FA0/4 to 5. Okay. I will do switch port mode access, switch port access. We're going to do VLAN is going to be 30. We do end, no, end, show VLAN brief. We got that we are the proper thing associated. Okay. Now we can do write to memory. And then we can go do the same thing here. We can write to memory here. Okay. Okay. Now that's configured. Let's go ahead and configure the router itself. Okay. Now we're going to give it a network address for one of these ports over here. Let's give this. We'll do no. Enable conf t. And then we're going to give this range over here. We're going to associate this with the first one with this is going to be sales and executives, right? So I'm going to use the IP address from sales here to first associate with this. So we're going to do, this is going to be gigabyte 0/1. So we're going to do interface gigabyte 0/1. We're going to do the same thing, IP address. We're going to do 192.168.10.1, 255.255.255.0. Come. And we're going to do exit over here. We're going to do, oh, sorry, we forgot to do one thing. Description. We're going to give this as, we're going to be giving this as BC. We're going to do exit. And we're going to do end. Write memory. Okay. I'm going to close this one. This is done. And go here, click on no. Enable. Conf15. And then we're going to do this one with the HR one over here, which is 20.1. Okay. So we're going to do interface. This one is on interface 0/1 as well. Okay. We're going to do interface B0/1. And then we're going to do IP address 192.168.20.1. Okay. And we're going to give a description. This is for Ontario. We're going to do end. We're going to do okay. Now let's go ahead and do the IP address on the PCs itself. So 192.168.20.10, 192.168.20. We already know the network, right? Router's IP address. We'll do this one. 168.20.20, 192.168.20.1. I'm not going to configure these two, okay, right now, because the network is not created. We'll just not worry about it right now. We'll just worry about the main one we created, okay? So in this one, we're going to do the 10.1, right? So this is the one we created, which is for the sales. Let's go here. Let's do this as 10.92.168.10.10, 192.168.10.1. The router we have created the network, right? Now we'll go here. We'll do. Okay. So now that's created. Now let's go ahead and try and ping from this PC to this PC, because now we have configured IP addresses, right? What do you think will happen?
Did we configure this sales already when you were configuring the router?
Sorry, what was that, Imran?
When you were configuring the router PC, did we initialize this this network 192.168.10?
Let's check that right now. Okay, give me 1 second. Open this up. Yeah, 10.1. It's been configured. And I can do that to show interface brief. Show, oh, sorry. Give me 1 second. IP interface brief. This is configured.
Yeah, so it should ping.
Okay, let's try that. Sure. And let's just ping this 20 because we don't worry about the other network right now. Okay, that's not in our thing right now. Let's see if we go here and ping 192.168.20.10. Okay, this is the PC we're trying to ping because this one we created right in the router 2. Let's do enter. The first one possibly will fail, right? We know that, but this one will fail completely. Can you think of the reason why?
Um, why the routers are not green communication?
Exactly. Yes, yes. You know the reason why it's not connected?
Uh, I- I- from router 1 to router 2,
Mhm.
um,
You mean the
no,
Ontario to BC, right?
yeah, is there, that's a direct connection. Um, VLAN, this VLAN.
Remember when it
I mean,
was
it's a different means like network, but we have a connected everything, so it should go. But
yeah. Let's look at the coding over here. You know we do show IP interface brief, right? Do you see anything unusual? So we see that this router and this router is linked over here. There's no IP address associated with it, G00. So it won't link to here. You see,
yeah,
the packets will not travel, right? So we need to create a link over here and link over here, so they can both communicate with each other.
yes,
So let's create that now, okay? So right now, let's do the other network where we have done already 10.1, right? So which is part of the sales network over here. Now let's add the executives IP address part of the G00, okay? Or we can create separate network for it too, for a link. It's not a big deal. Now I want to create a separate network for the link between BC and Ontario itself. Okay, and we can do that for 192.168.1.1. Okay, let's do that as 1.1. 150. I'm going to do interface G0/0. Okay, that's a link from BC to Ontario, and I'm going to do IP address 192.168.1.1, and I'm going to do 255.255.255.0. Okay, and I'm going to do description BC to Ontario connection. Okay, let's end. Now let's do the same thing on the other side. If I do show IP interface brief, you see there's no link over here, right? So if I do enable conf fd, and if I do interface G0/0, and I can do description here, Ontario to BC. And this one, I'm going to do the simple one where it's just 192.168.2.1. Okay. IP address 192.168.2.1, 255.255.255.0. And I can do end. So now it should ping, right? From this one. We're still not touching the other one, 30 and 40. So it should ping now, right? So if we go here, we should have, yeah,
yes,
go ahead. Okay, IP interface, will just verify. Bring. So we have here 2 IPs here. And if we go here, we should have IP for this link as well. So IP in, if I can spell right, IP interface. Okay, so we have an IP address set for the link 0 to 0. Okay, so it should be perfectly pingable. So let's go here. We're at the 10.20, and we're just going to ping the 20.10 again, and this will fail. That's one. And the reason because Imran, you see, one of the things that we need to take a look at from a visual standpoint, right? Do you see how these are red? which means
Yes,
the
they
connection is
are
not
right.
enabled. The connection is not enabled. So, but this is because we're seeing it on a packet tracer end, right? Like, okay, this shows a visual representation. The ports are not turned on. Remember when I did the codes I told you for when it's a physical port, you have to do no shutdown for the port to be turned on. And you can see here, when we do show IP interface brief, it says that this is an internet phase, right? And this is the IP address. But you see the status is administratively down, which means we did not turn them back on. And when you're doing a physical switch, you don't have a physical representation, right? So it's better to do show IP interface brief if you cannot ping, and let's turn them back on. Okay. What do you think I should be doing? Or what do you think the command line I should be doing to turn the first one on 0 to 0/0?
Like access mode on.
Yeah, let's do conf ft. Okay, now from here I can do interface G0/0, right? And then interface G0/0, and then I can just do no shut. Let's see here when we do no shut. So yeah, there you go. So we're turning this side on over here. Okay. And let's also, while we add it, let's turn on the G0/1, okay? Because that's also manually done as well, right? Okay, now let's do G0/1, no shut as well. So now you see this one is turned green. This one is still in the red. If we do end, show IP interface brief, we can see both are up, but this one is down. It's because this side port is still turned off. We turned our side on, but the opposite side that's supposed to receive it is still down. Okay, that's all you know from the port side. If this side is turned up and manually up, this side down, the end device is not either turned on or is not accepting. So let's go ahead and go here and do the same thing over here too. Okay, so we can do enable conf ft. We'll do same thing interface D0/0. We'll do shut. And you can see here, let's turn it on, and you'll see both sides will start blinking up. You see, both sides are green now, and we can do the same thing over here. I'll show you why when I do the G01 as well, because might as well do it. No shut. Okay, now if we do end and do show IP in brief, you see both are up and up. Okay, and then let's go here. And if we see this now, you see this, the protocol has been changed status to up. And let's say we do the same thing here. It's both are up and up, okay? So which means our port is up and the end party that's supposed to receive this is up as well. And this is very important. If you learn to understand this, you'll start to see if the end device is receiving it or not. This is where a lot of technicians go wrong. A lot of analysts go wrong is just not reading this portion, right? They might turn it on, but is the end device receiving anything? Okay, that's what is very important. And the next thing is what we can do just to make sure everything's working. We already know what IP address we gave this, right? Remember 2.1? And we know the Ontario G01, we gave it the 20.1 network, right? So from this router, we can ping the first available, the first port, which is 2.1, and then the below it, which is going to be our 20.1. Okay. So let's start pinging that and to see. Ping 192.168. Let's do 2.1, which is a port. Zero percentage. Yeah, 1 second. This is going to be 20.1. Let's go here, go to 10.20, and then we'll do the same thing now to try and ping Equals timeout. And let's check this in a simulated mode and see what is exactly happening, okay? Where the packets are going. Give me 1 second. And this is where the complexity of network comes in, right? Networking comes in. If we do a simulation here, let's go back here. I think we were here. No, no, I think it was here, 10.20. Okay, that's okay. The command prompt. Okay. So now if we were to do this one, you'll start seeing where it fails. The reason is because once we have two routers involved, we need to create proper network stamps. Okay. So you'll see the packets getting ready. I'm just going to move this away from my screen so you guys can see the network simulation. And I'm just going to play this one. It goes to the switch. It tries to go to the other PC that's on the same VLAN. You can see the other PCs. And sending to other PCs in the network. Okay, so let's make sure, let's stop this one. Let's make sure our computer, because it's trying to seem like it's going here. Let's see if our PC is configured properly, first of all. 20.10, 2.0.0, 20.1, right? The reason, guys, it's failing is because the router does not know where it exactly belongs because we have two routers involved. If we were to do this with one router, it's easy for it to see where it is, right? So this is what we're going to learn in next class, how we're going to actually configure the network table so it knows what network is on the opposite side. Okay, I'm going to save this one, and I'm going to upload this as part of your thing as well. Give me 1 second. For next week, this is what we're going to exactly do. Yes, for the class here itself. Okay, and this is what we're going to configure to make sure that you guys know how to configure two different net routers. This is going to be part of very important as well. Give me 1 second here, and I'll upload it to here. Okay, once we're in the class, but for the next class, you will have an assignment where you will complete these tasks over here, okay? Then with the network over here. Okay. And this is when we go into trunking, we go into VLAN splitting, and we go into actually creating network tables so it knows what network is on the opposite side. We give it exactly the things, okay? When it comes to there. And we need to make sure when this computer is trying to ping the computer, it knows what direction it needs to take so we can create lists for those. Okay? That is going to be our next class lesson. Okay. Any questions?
Yes, but that's early question for according to our class.
Yes.
Yeah. So in real, let's say like I have 20 family members. They all are
Mhm.
using internet at home, so
Mhm.
they have like a small network,
Mhm.
like a router, have a
Yeah.
PC and stuff. So, so if I want to join all of them and make one big network, so seeing that, what comes in my mind, like in between these two routers, router
Mhm.
one and router two, in Ontario and BC, so there will be a internet modem.
Yes. Yes. Right
So
over here on top over here.
internet modem has its own uh, wide area
Mhm.
WAN IP.
Yeah.
So so when we are accessing from BC to Ontario, so that interface as a medium, as internet is a medium.
Yeah.
So it has its own WAN IP, and
Mhm.
when we're accessing, how does that uh, um, act in it?
In terms of how you will access the internet.
How I will connect these two networks while there's a WAN IP, and how it can go further ahead and know like which network I'm going to and how it will connect.
Okay, so let me reiterate your question, Imran, and tell me if I'm wrong. Okay, from what I understand, let's say you're actually this is in Ontario, this is in BC, and this is not geologically close to each other, right? So theoretically physically speaking, BC will have its own modem, Ontario will have its own modem, but we want to make sure that they're under one network, right? And how would that work? Is that what you're trying to ask?
Yes,
Yes.
yes.
Okay. So, like, let's say in this case, I'll show what exactly Imran means by. Give me 1 second. Show here. So what you mean by is essentially it's going to be like this. So if we add a cloud cable modem over here and a cable modem over here, right? And then we will do a connection from here. Let me do this one. So, Imran, what you're trying to ask is how, imagine this link does not exist. Give me 1 second. I'm just trying to. Yeah, there you go. So if this link does not exist, how these network will connect to each other, right?
Yes.
So we use something called always on VPN. So we can actually put something called a VPN routers, and they do end-to-end VPN connections with these. So they're like a small, if I can show you here, they're like a pretty much a small VPN device that we own, router it's called. And there's like these ones are home uses, right? So I'll show you here. These ones I have one of these at home, TP-Link. This one is yes. So this is a VPN router. So you'll have one at one location, one at the other location, right? And what this does is it'll make sure that these two usernames you set up and the IP address you set up, you'll have a virtual link. And that's how in different continent, different provinces, the companies will connect to each other, and you can still send printouts from Ontario to BC and everything, pretty much. And it's a virtual private network. It's the most secure connection you'll ever have. It'll essentially be a virtual connection, VPN.
All right. So they must have VPN router in order to create their virtual private network.
Exactly, exactly.
And those VPN router does not have to be specific like a NordVPN or Bitdefender VPN service. I mean, it has its own um,
You'll
software.
have Yeah, exactly. You'll host your own VPN servers. You know how NordVPN you connect to a specific server, right? So at workplace, you'll host your own VPN server from your own WAN IP address, and you'll make a secure establishment connection. And these are called link-to-link VPNs. So they're like pretty much essentially connects two locations together.
Right.
Yeah, and they're these are like the device I'm showing you here. These are like home devices, right? But Cisco uh, has a VPN router as well. So these are like Cisco VPN routers, and these are meant for. This is a switch, I believe. Yeah, these are wireless router, wireless VPN. They have VPN routers. Yeah, these ones like Cisco VPN. These ones are just meant for VPN, and these can handle like a bunch of loads at the same time. You'll have like your ISP modem connected in here, your router is connected to here, and it just makes an established connection. And these routers, you configure them with your certain port number and encrypted username and an encrypted password, and you'll share that with the other site, and they can put the same thing on their VPN router, and it establishes a connection. As long as you have internet connection, like a WAN connection to the online, your VPN will work, and it'll be like pretty much like it'll be like a dug up cable connected to your other site. It'll be sufficiently fast, sometimes slightly slow, depends on latency, but it'll be a very secure connection. Okay.
Right. I have another question about
Yeah.
the VLAN.
Mhm.
So we have a switch, and if it depends on how much port it is, and accordingly we can create that many VLANs, or it depends like on individual switch what kind of VLAN it offers, and according to that we can create so many sub networks.
So VLANs are not basically like a network based, right? They're more divided into segments. You can create as many network VLANs as possible. There's no, I don't think there's virtually a limitations on how many VLAN you can create. Um, with a certain switch, I do believe certain Cisco switches, like I know certain old ones, there's a limitation, I think, but the newer ones, I don't think VLANs is a limitations on how we can create.
All
There,
right.
I don't believe there is a yeah. Sorry, I am wrong. I just looked it up. So the newer ones allows you to create 4,094 VLAN ports. So it's like virtually a lot. The older ones, there
Right.
used to be a limitation on 256, but on the newer ones, it's a lot more. Okay. All right. So, what? Please try to work on the assignment and see if you have any questions because these assignments will help you definitely in terms of configuration. And the assignment will make you go beyond what we learned in the class to give you some exploring opportunity, so you can start exploring on do some research on how this is configured, right? And that will definitely help you in terms of learning more in depth about these CCNA courses. Okay?
Okay.
Yes. Thank you so much, Imran. I'll see you next week. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.